It's 4:17 in the morning and your hands already hurt, not later in the day hurt. Right now, before the sun, before coffee, before anyone you know is even awake, your hands are already cramping around a tool you'll hold for the next 11 hours. The air smells like wet metal and bleach. Somewhere a machine is screaming and nobody flinches, 'cause everybody has stopped hearing it months ago. You're on the floor, the lowest rung of the lowest paid work on the planet, and in the next 11 hours, your body is going to produce real value, real product, real money for somebody. So let me ask you something. That hour you just worked, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., hands cramping in the dark, what did it pay? Hold that question, because the answer is smaller than you think, and the real answer, the honest one, once we do the actual math, is going to make you angry in a way you didn't expect. Here's the thing, this isn't a video about feeling sorry for anybody. Pity is cheap and it doesn't pay rent. This is a video about the arithmetic. The cold, specific dollars and hours, math of what the world actually pays for a human being's time at the very bottom, and what that time quietly costs the person spending it. Because once you see how an hour gets priced down here, you're going to see your own paycheck completely differently. Stay with me. Let's do the real math. Let's start with the number nobody wants to say out loud. Around the world, the lowest legal wages for full-time work land somewhere between 50 cents and $2 an hour. Not in some forgotten corner of history, right now. Garment workers stitching clothes you might be wearing today. Field hands picking produce that will be in a grocery store by Friday. Brick kiln workers, sanitation crews, the people deboning chickens on a line that never slows down. In the United States, the federal floor is $7.25 an hour. That number hasn't moved since 2009. Ride that again since 2009. A gallon of milk, a tank of gas, a one-bedroom apartment, every single one of those has climbed, some of them doubled, and that floor has not moved 1 cent in over a decade and a half. Now, most states stack their own minimum on top of that. But there's where it gets wild. There are still jobs, legal jobs, tip jobs, where the base wage on paper is $2.13 an hour, $2.13. The theory is that tips fill the gap. The reality is that on a slow Tuesday they don't, and that worker just gave you an hour of their life for the price of a candy bar. So that's the floor, that's the raw number. And if we stopped here, you'd already be uncomfortable. But we're not going to stop here, because the raw number is a lie, not a small lie, a big one. And the moment you strip it down, their real wage is dramatically worse than the one printed on the check. Let me show you. Here's the trick your brain plays on you. When you hear $10 an hour, you picture $10 landing in a hand for every hour worked. Clean, simple, direct, it's never that. Watch this. Let's take a worker making the round number, $10 an hour, 8 hours a day. On paper, that's $80. Feels real. Now let's do what the paycheck never does. Let's count everything the job actually takes. Start with the commute. The lowest paying jobs are almost never close to where the worker can afford to live, so call it 90 minutes a day, round trip. That time is real. That time is the job. Nobody commutes 90 minutes for fun, but it's unpaid. So already your 8-hour day is really a 9.5-hour day. Now the cost of getting there, gas or a bus pass or the slow death of an old car, call it $10 a day just to show up. That comes straight off the top. 80 becomes 70. Now the gear, the non-slip shoes the restaurant requires but doesn't pay for. The uniform, the tools, the phone you need just to get your schedule, which changes every week. Spread it out. Another $4 or $5 a day gone. Now the prep nobody counts. The unpaid 15 minutes before the shift to clock in and set up. The skipped lunch you worked through because the line didn't stop. So let's add it up honestly. $80 on paper. Knock a 15 for getting there and being equipped to work. Now 7 times the high end, and spread that across the real time the job consumes, not 8 hours, but 9.5 once you count the commute, and your $10 wage just became $7 an hour. In real terms. For the actual hours the job pulls out of your one single life, that's the gap. That's the lie inside every wage at the bottom. The number on the check is the advertisement. The real hourly, after the job takes its cut just for the privilege of working it, is the truth. And the lower the wage, the bigger that gap bites, because there's no cushion to absorb it. Here's the rule, and I want you to sit with it. At the bottom, you don't get paid to work. You pay to work, and what's left over is your wage. Okay, now let's translate. Because dollars are abstract, but time is not. Time you feel. Stop thinking about the wage as money for a second. Start thinking about it as a price tag measured in hours of your life. Because that's what it really is. Everything you buy isn't bought with dollars. It's bought with the hours you traded to get those dollars. So let's price a normal life at the bottom. Rent. A modest one-bedroom in most American cities now runs $1,500 a month. Easy. At our real wage of $7 an hour. How many hours do you work just to cover that roof? Over 200 hours. A month only has about 170 working hours in it at full time. Ride that again. The rent alone costs more hours than a full-time month contains. That's not a budgeting problem. You cannot budget your way out of that. That's a math problem with no solution at that wage, which is exactly why the second job exists. Not because the worker is ambitious, because the first job, fully worked, mathematically cannot cover a single human life. Let's keep going, because it gets sharper. A day of groceries, 2-3 hours of work. A doctor's visit without good insurance, a full day, maybe 2 gone. One unexpected car repair, $400. The kind of thing that's an annoyance to some people and a catastrophe to others. That's nearly 60 hours of labor. A week and a half of your life, erased by one bad morning with a check engine light. And here's the part that should stop you cold. A day off, just stone. A single day where you do nothing, rest, exist. At the bottom, that day isn't rest, it's lost wages, it's a bill. The lowest paid workers on earth are the only people who literally cannot afford to stop, because stopping has a price they can't pay. The rich buy things with money. The poor buy the exact same things with time. And they're charged a brutally higher rate for every single one. Now we get to the part the paycheck never, ever shows you. Because so far we've only counted what the job pays and what it takes in dollars. But the lowest paid jobs on the planet take something else, and they take it quietly. And there's no line item for it anywhere. They take the body. These are the jobs that wreck knees and backs and lungs and hands, the repetitive motion injuries that show up at 40 and never leave. The chemical exposure nobody mentions at orientation. The heat, the cold, the standing, the lifting. The body is the only asset a low-wage worker actually owns, and the job spends it down, year after year, and hands back a wage too small to repair the damage it caused, and they take the years. The lowest paid work is almost always a ceiling, not a ladder. There's no promotion track on the line. You don't debone chickens for 3 years and become a chicken executive. The job is designed to be filled by anyone, which means it's designed to make you replaceable, which means it has every incentive to pay you exactly as little as it legally can forever. And the cruelest cost of all, it takes the bandwidth to escape. This is the trap that makes people on the outside so smug and so wrong. Just get a better job. Just go to school. Just move. But escape takes energy and time and a little money to risk, and the whole machinery of the low-wage job is engineered to leave you with none of those three. You're too tired to plan, too broke to risk, too scheduled to study. The job doesn't just underpay you, it quietly removes the exact tools you'd need to leave it. That's the real cost of the lowest paid jobs in the world. Not the small number on the check, the slow, invisible draining of the body, the years, and the way out all at once, all unpaid. And here's exactly where this hits home for you. Watching this, even if you've never worked a line in your life, because you just watched me take a wage apart, strip out the hidden costs, count the real hours, translate dollars into the years of a life. And the uncomfortable truth is that the exact same math is running silently underneath your money right now. Your commute. Your subscriptions you forgot about. The raise you didn't take. The investing you keep meaning to start. Your real numbers are sitting in your own accounts, uncalculated, and what you don't measure, you can't change. That's exactly why I built the real cost calculator. It's the same math you just watched me do here, except you plug in your own numbers. What you really earn per hour after everything the job takes. What your choices actually cost you stretched out over the years. What the waiting is quietly costing you. And it shows you in plain dollars where you actually stand. No tips, no formulas, no hype. Just your real math finally on the table. The link is in the first pinned comment. Go run your numbers. Now, let's bring this home.